John Oliver, or as his wife and formerly male assistant prefers to call him, Joan. I know this might be hard to believe considering the fact that Joan is a proud deacon at Woke United Methodist, but I'm actually a fan of John Oliver. Do I agree with him? Rarely. Would it surprise me if John Oliver secretly identifies as Joan in his personal life? Not in the least. But John Oliver possesses a rare quality that we just don't see in modern late-night comedians. Unlike Steph Colbert, unlike Jim Fallon, and damn sure unlike Jim Kimmel, John Oliver is actually a comedian. He's funny. He's entertaining. I don't have to agree with you politically to allow you to entertain me. Matter of fact, we were just having this discussion earlier today on the channel members Discord server. There's a young man in the group who aspires to be in radio or YouTube. He is very, very detailed. He is insanely focused on every little thing being exactly right. Over on the second channel this morning, I questioned why ABC was refusing to broadcast the Women's National Championship game in prime time. I theorized that maybe ESPN didn't want to set the precedent because they were worried that women's basketball was a fad and could be declining in popularity. It's just a theory. It's just a theory. It's a theory backed by the possibility that it could be true. But the main purpose of the theory was to get people talking, get people to come up with their own theories, get people to agree or disagree. Well, he goes into this long dissertation as to why I was wrong. He started explaining why ABC never broadcasts sports in primetime on Sunday night. Unless, of course, it's the NBA Finals or Caitlin Clark or the NFL if given the opportunity. Long story short, he was focusing on these boring details that no one else cares about in an attempt to prove that he was right. Like I said, he aspires to be in talk radio and YouTube, so I tried to explain to him that he was missing the point. Radio, television, podcasting, YouTube, pick your platform. The goal is still the same. It's not always about right and wrong. It's not always about agreeing or disagreeing. Content creators have one job: keep people watching and keep people talking. Engagement is the name of the game. Colin Cowherd, he is probably the #1 show in sports talk radio. Colin Cowherd's not always right. Hell, a lot of the time he's wrong. But for some reason, his bank account doesn't think he's wrong. Every time he sees those commas and zeros in his bank account, he knows he is doing something right. Stephen A. Smith, Prime Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Hey, it's me, Shay Shay. They understand that it's not always black and white. It's not always about right and wrong. This is entertainment. It's about making people feel something. Whether it's love or hatred, whether they agree or disagree, it really doesn't matter as long as they're feeling something. The last thing you want is them to be feeling indifference. John Oliver, he damn sure made a hell of a lot of people feel something this past Sunday night. On this week's episode of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver did a 40-minute dissertation on transgender involvement in sports. Even though I was entertained while listening to the musings of Joan, there is no denying the fact that John Oliver, he is absolutely on the wrong side of this issue. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Whoa Mama Protein. As we get older, we start to realize how important it is to take care of our bodies. Diet and exercise, extremely important, but it's hard to maintain a strict diet, especially if you love snacks. My wife loves snack food, but there are times when she feels guilty after eating them. She doesn't have to worry about that guilt anymore because she has recently been consuming a healthier version of snacks from Whoa Mama Protein. Whoa Mama was started by two best friends who wanted to create healthy snacks without sacrificing quality and taste. They started out with a protein gelato, and they recently released a new line of protein popcorn. Each bag contains 5 grams grams of protein and only 140 calories. It's also gluten-free and contains no artificial coloring or artificial flavoring. I'm not going to lie to you. I was initially skeptical about this. A lot of times, healthier versions of damn near anything, they just don't taste the same. But I'm telling you, the protein popcorn from Whoa Mama Protein, it not only tastes the same, it tastes better. You will not be disappointed. Protein popcorn from Whoa Mama is available in honey mustard and Diablo fire, but my personal favorite, right here's my last bag of it as a matter of fact, the garlic parmesan. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Save 10% off your first purchase with Whoa Mama Protein. I saved you guys 40 minutes of your valuable time by watching this pathetic defense of transgender athletes by John Oliver. Now, I will admit, it wasn't nearly as painful as watching the yentas on The View. There is no smell more pungent than the aroma of the boodle breeze from the whoopee cushion, but to his credit, John Oliver did his best to match the toxicity with the mouth farts that he was releasing Sunday night. It was 40 minutes of absolute garbage. Joan opened his dissertation by presenting scientific data. I know some of you guys might have missed the memo, but we are now back to following the science. I didn't hear a damn thing about science when the Deep South was covered in 8 feet of snow or 8 inches of snow back in January. But now that spring is in the air and the earth is back on the verge of spontaneous combustion, the deacons are back to telling us to follow the science. Joan presented these scientific studies that attempted to prove that dudes have no biological advantage over women. Now, some of these studies, they only involved one transgender athlete. Why? I guess it was the only one they could find. John Oliver claimed that it is tough to draw conclusions from these studies because the sample size is so small. Yeah, that's kind of the point. If they can't find enough transgender athletes to study, why in the hell are we even having this discussion? Either way, there was one major problem with the scientific data that John Oliver presented. These studies were conducted on transgender athletes that fully transitioned. As you guys know, most of the stories involving transgender athletes, they involve athletes that have not transitioned. Case in point, Leah Thomas. You know, poor Riley Gaines. She was exposed to her first human propeller after sharing a locker room in a swimming pool with the athlete formerly known as Big Will. I put together a compilation of some of John Oliver's greatest hits from Sunday night. Watch it for yourself. I'm sure you noticed that John Oliver made sure to use proper pronouns. Joan knows how serious the crime of misgendering is. He knows misgendering is a Class A felony under the guidelines of the woke commandments. 40 minutes of talking about dudes invading women's sports, and John Oliver managed to use proper pronouns every time. His 40-minute dissertation, it can be summarized in less than 4 seconds. If I were to summarize John Oliver's view on this issue, it's men have no biological or physical advantage over women. Or, as Joan would prefer to say it, transgender women have no physical advantage over women who were not born with Franken beans. Which got Uncle KC to thinking. For starters, John Oliver conveniently skipped over the fact that transgender athletes typically only compete in women's sports. He conveniently skipped over the fact that there's a simple solution to this problem. If you're a transgender athlete, you're required to compete against men. This makes it fair for everyone, right? Women who want to be men, they are competing against the gender they aspire to be. While in the locker room, other dudes can show them how to properly apply just for men, so that one day they too could have a nice 5 o'clock shadow. This also makes it fair for men aspiring to be women because Now they don't have to worry about being tested. They don't have to worry about those pesky gender-affirming care meetings. But since John Oliver believes that men don't have a physical or athletic advantage over women, why don't we put together an experiment? Let's take the 5 best players in the NBA, maybe LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Jokic, Steph Curry, Giannis. Let's take those 5 future Hall of Famers and put them against the 5 best players in the WNBA, which would be Caitlin Clark, AJ Wilson, and 3 unknown players to be named later if anyone can figure out their names. Well, Casey, what about Angel Reese? She's a double-double machine. I said the 5 best players. We're looking to make this competition even. We need WNBA players who can actually make shots, which is ironic because so does the WNBA. But anyway, you get the point. The 5 best in the NBA competing against the 5 best in the WNBA. We can even spot the WNBA players 50 points to make it interesting. We'll spot them 50 points in a game to 100. Hell, we can spot them 50 points in a game to 51. I'm still taking the NBA because NBA players are stronger. They're more athletically gifted and they're just better. I don't know why we are still having this discussion. And I really don't know why Democrats continue to fight this losing battle. Americans don't agree on much, but there is one thing that the vast majority of Americans would agree on. Men do not belong in women's sports or women's bathrooms. Whether or not John Oliver actually believes what he was saying Sunday night, I don't know. What I do know is, as an entertainer, as a television host and satire, John Oliver did his job Sunday night because he brought mainstream attention to his show. He got people watching and he got people talking. What do you guys think of John Oliver? Like I said, I rarely agree with him, and I damn sure don't agree with him on this issue, but the difference between John Oliver and other late-night comedians not named Bill Maher, John Oliver is actually funny. He's entertaining. But give me your thoughts on this. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.